Okay, so hope you know what we are talking about today. It is about indoor gardening and indoor plants. So, tell me why this is an important issue. Why should we discuss about indoor plants or indoor gardening? Why that is so important? तो अगर आप बोलेंगे मैं लिखता जाऊंगा इधर बोलिए नहीं बोलेंगे तो हम अकेला बोलेंगे तो it looks like I mean no one is here and I'm talking to us black screen only.
Sir, indoor gardening, as we know, sir, I am Renaissance Sinha. Sir, as we know that greenery helps with our mental health, helps a lot to cope up with our mental health. So it enhances our mental health. So indoor gardening can be considered as a good therapy for our mind, body, and soul.
So you said mental health, right?
Yes.
Anything else? So I'm keeping it here. Mental health.
Plants increase oxygen. So increase in oxygen is important because population is increasing. So emission of CO2 is increasing along with vehicular emission.
So plant is an important source of
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Okay. Good. Anything else? So I wrote it here as well.
Sir, plants also act as air purifiers, which are of great demand right now, owing to the rising rate of air pollution.
Air purifier. Okay, so how does it work? I mean, do you know an example?
Sir, I might not be able to state the exact species of plant, but I have the knowledge that there's a certain kind of plant which is planted just to purify the air, as in on pavements or something like that.
Okay. So yeah. You are saying that plant can also act as air purifier. Fine. Anything else?
Yes, sir. Plant gives us many things like fruits, vegetables.
No. The question is, why should we think about indoor plants and indoor gardening? So it's difficult to get fruits and all these things from indoor gardening, right? From a plant like this, I can see here, you can see here. From these plants, it's difficult to get fruits and other things. So why it is important to have indoor gardens?
So indoor plants also make the house beautiful.
Yes, very important. Very important. So it's beautiful. Huh? So greenery is always very nice. Huh? So it's beautiful. And what else?
Sir, indoor plants are also used for decorative.
Like it's beautiful and it's decorative. It's decorative as well. Huh? So you can also do decoration out of plants. It looks nice.
Sir, plants keeps our surrounding coolers.
Surrounding, sorry?
Plants keep our surrounding cooler.
Cooler, okay. Plants keep our surroundings cooler. So plants can reduce temperature. Okay. So I think many points has already been covered. And
we can have one more point.
sorry?
That if we grow medicinal plants like tulsi and if we grow plants like aloe vera, then we can also use them for their benefits.
So you can actually also get, if not fruits, but some medicines also from the indoor plants. Okay, good. So many interesting points. Let us discuss one by one very quickly. And we have Neha, let me know about the time. Okay. Fine. So we have shared that the first point was mental health. So it is very important. So it is very important to be active. It is also very important to during last 2 years when we are locked up inside. it was very difficult for us. We cannot go out, we cannot play, we can't look at the greenery that is there around us. So it is a real helpful for us if there are green things and if there are real living things which which we see to grow, which we see to give flower. So this is such a joy. So plant is also very important about mental health. But what you never told us is about if you do gardening, it is also good for your what? Good for your not only mental health but also
Physical health.
yes. So it is also helpful for your physical health. So you are watering, you are active around certain things. So you remain active, you remain attentive. So physical health is also important. Okay. So let's, and of course, beautiful and it's decorative, it looks nice. That's fine. But there are a couple of medicine, you can get medicine is fine. But there are a couple of interesting things that we should also discuss. Little digging up into the science. So there are class 12 students and also I think students beyond class 12 as well. So any guess how this happens? Why plant reduces temperature?
Sir,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
as we know, sir, plants absorb carbon dioxide and which acts as which traps heat a lot, which acts for trapping heat in our surroundings.
We are talking about indoor plants.
Yes, the indoor plant does that too, I guess. Like every plants or trees does that.
Yes. But we are talking about, say, how many plants in a room? 4 to 5 maximum. We're not creating a forest. So does that really help? I mean, do you know how much? So there is also a question about oxygen. So source of oxygen. Yes, plants are source of oxygen, of course, but there is also a myth around this, that if you plant indoor trees, your rooms will be full of oxygen always. And there are certain plants which are giving more oxygen compared to others. So let me tell you frankly that this is a myth. So plants, every plant releases oxygen, and plant is also a living thing. So plant also absorbs, plant also exhales carbon dioxide. So जैसा हमको सांस लेना पड़ता है, प्लांट भी सांस लेते हैं. तो प्लांट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज भी करते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि प्लांट सिर्फ ऑक्सीजन रिलीज करते हैं. तो जितना कार्बन वो रिलीज करते हैं कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, उतना ही कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को एब्जॉर्ब कर लेते हैं. So in a sense, plant is better in the sense, plant is better in terms of providing oxygen, because whatever carbon dioxide they releasing, they are absorbing it. पर एक बड़ा सा plant, मान लीजिए एक बर्गर की पेड़ or a very big plant, a huge plant. So a very big plant can produce oxygen for 4 people a day. 4 लोगों के लिए काफी है. But the size of plant we are talking about, say this is a plant. Do you know this plant? What plant is this?
Snake plant.
This is called snake plant, and this is supposed to be a very good indoor plant. So this is snake plant. So compared to a big tree, this is very, very small. So it will probably able to give you oxygen for 5 minutes a day of your requirement. So, and if you want to get good amount of oxygen from these kind of tiny plants, you actually have to create a forest inside your room, which is not possible. So yes, this is a source of oxygen. Yes, this reduces temperature. This reduces temperature also because of it evaporates. It evaporates water vapor, and we have studied in class 8 and 9 that there is something called latent heat. So when anything evaporates, it absorbs energy from outside, so these surroundings become cooler. So please remember about that as well. So things are good. So same for air purification. There are a couple of plants which can purify air well, not purify the dirty air of the Calcutta roads or Ranchi roads or Jamshedpur roads, but they can purify certain POP, persistent organic pollutants. Like if you have painted your walls, or if you have painted your wardrobe or your windows or doors, and if you have planted certain kinds of plants, even snake plant is one of that, they can absorb certain क्या बोलते हैं वो जो certain chemicals which are released by those plastic paints and all those things, that they can absorb. But again, so they can do it if you have large amount of such plants planted, which is not, very easy to do. So we have all read science, so let us also understand that it has limitations. But nonetheless, for other reasons like for getting medicines or for getting beautification or be active in your mind, indoor plantation is very important. Okay, any questions so far? Otherwise, I will go to the next round of what. Any question? कोई सवाल है?
No, sir.
आपका
No,
नहीं
sir.
है, दूसरे का शायद होगा।
No, sir.
नहीं है, ठीक है, चलो आगे चलते हैं। तो if you want to do gardening, what are the things that we need to keep in mind? दिमाग में क्या रखना चाहिए? What are the things that we should think about? We should keep in mind if we want to do gardening.
So we have to keep we have to keep in mind when we are planting the plant, we are planting the small plant. We have to keep in the mind of the level of soil we have to dig in, like the level of soil we'll put on the on the after planting the plant. Like if it's too much, then it would harm the plant or the plant would dry.
How much is too much?
Like when it's too much covering the roots. When it's too much covering the roots.
Too much? Sorry, I'm not getting you. Too much?
Like too much covering above the roots.
Too much covering above the roots. Okay, fine.
And then, sir, there is water. There is water like.
Okay. One by one. So you have said soil. Fine, we'll discuss about that. So you have said soil. Someone else.
Sir, sunlight.
Sunlight. Okay. So soil is one thing. Sunlight. Now there's a challenge. So in indoor situation, how do you get sunlight?
So, sir, we have to keep
Is
the
it possible
plants.
to get sunlight?
Sir, we have to keep the plants outside. Means.
So if you want to keep, if you have to keep the plants outside, then better you do it outside. Why are you keeping it in?
No, I want to tell. Means the window sides. So it will get sunlight.
Okay. Possible window sides, balcony.
Sir, we can use succulent plants who require less sunlight.
Yes. So we can take certain plants which need less amount of sunlight. So do you know an example?
Cactus.
Sorry?
Cactus. Cactus is an example of a succulent plant.
I don't know that plant. Maybe there is some. It's not that I know everything. There must be some plants like that. Anything else? So all the plants that we have selected here today is actually need less amount of sunlight. So snake plant. This is called peace lily. So there's a nice white flower. This is called aloe vera. You know aloe vera, I think. Aloe vera is a very well-known plant. So aloe vera is also a medicinal plant. You can have. So what are the medicinal properties of aloe vera? Anyone?
It is used for skin, for hair.
You can also eat it, like you can drink it actually. You can. So money plant. So I think most of us has.
It is also used for curing wounds and cuts.
Yes. So there is something called spider plant. So fern is also a plant which needs less amount of sunlight. Okay. So, but to get sunlight, you can also keep the plants for in the sunlight for maybe an hour a day or once in 3 days. That's very important. But we have to select plants which needs less amount of sunlight. Anything else? So soil and sunlight. Soil and sunlight. Anything else that we should think about?
So types of seeds.
Sorry?
Types of seeds.
Types of trees, types of plants.
Yes.
So that's what we discussed. We have to select plants which needs less amount of sunlight. And also let us also remember that indoor plants are mostly for decorative purpose. So we have already limited choice. Anything else? Anything else? So only soil and sunlight. That's all.
Sir, adequate water.
Water. Water. Okay. So what is adequate water? What is adequate water? Okay, so what happens in indoor plants and mostly in urban areas, plant dies out of over attention most of the times. So we give them more water than they need. हम ज्यादा दे देते हैं, ज्यादा केयर करते हैं, ज्यादा प्यार करते हैं प्लांट से, तो वो ज्यादा प्यार नहीं ले पाते. That's very difficult. So only water plant if the soil is dry. So don't give much water, because you see if this is in sunlight, then there will also be evaporation loss, and which doesn't happen in India. और ज्यादा पानी होने से वो मिट्टी खराब हो जाते हैं, they die of that. So we will discuss about, not discuss, we'll do something about soil and water. We also missed out something else. In indoor plants, you also have to think about where you can plant the tree, isn't it? What are the scopes? Where can you plant the trees?
Sir, in a pot. Sir, in a pot.
Okay. So do you need this kind of pots only, or there are some other options?
No, sir, it depends. If it's a small pot, then we can keep it inside our balcony. So if it's a big pot, then we can keep it like there are hangers.
I noticed that there are around how many? 25. 25, and only I can hear 3 to 4 voices. Huh? I also want to hear from others. The question was कि ऐसा ही pot चाहिए क्या? ऐसा ही अच्छे पॉट खरीदना चाहिए क्या, या दूसरा कुछ तरीका हो सकता है?
सर दूसरा भी यूज कर सकते हैं।
जैसे
सर प्लास्टिक के बने हुए पॉट भी यूज कर सकते हैं।
कैसा पॉट? सॉरी, प्लास्टिक पॉट्स.
सर
अच्छा,
यस सर।
plastic
So we,
bottles, you mean, or plastic pots? You can also buy plastic pots.
so we can even use those cups जिनके handles टूट गए हैं,
Yes,
तो
very
उनको
good.
recycle कर
उसमें
सकते हैं.
छोटे-छोटे हो जाएगा, उसमें छोटे-छोटे हो जाएगा पौधा.
We
Cactus
can
जैसा चीज
even
हो
use
जाएगा.
plastic bottles also.
Sorry, come again, please.
We can also use plastic bottles also.
Bottles, yes. And you can also use टूटा हुआ tubs, पुराने जूते के अंदर भी कर सकते हो ना. आपको
अरे मैं-
करना चाहिए बस. If it's a small plant, so I'm purposefully not showing any PowerPoint presentation today. So you can Google that you can grow plants on shoes. I mean, of course, फेंका हुआ shoes. Even on commons, I've seen people जो commons टूट गए हैं, जो फेंक देते हैं, उसमें मिट्टी देके देख लेते हैं. So you can do anything. So you can plant tree on anything. Basically, you have to have certain things which can hold some soil. That's all. ठीक है? तो ये चार चीज हमें ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. If we think about क्या क्या है? Pots and soil, water and sunlight, which is a rare commodity in indoor plants, but nonetheless you can select plants accordingly, and you can also take the plant, जैसे कुत्ते को घूमने ले जाते हैं ना सुबह सुबह चेन लगा के, you can also take the plants out for certain times a day, or maybe 3 days after 3 days you can take your plant out, sit with the plant and discuss certain things with the plants. नहीं हो सकता है क्या? So scientists are now saying that plants can also talk actually. We don't understand the language, but plants can talk between each other. एक plant दूसरे plant को सुन सकता है.
Sir, fertilizers also needed.
हाँ?
Fertilizers also needed. For some
Fertilizer.
plants.
Fertilizer is part of soil improvement. So we will talk about that. Okay. So let's think about what kind of pots we can make. So I think आपको बोला गया था to bring in 2 liter water bottles. कोई लाए हैं क्या? Can you show me? Anyone who has bought? कोई नहीं लाया. कोई लाया है? नहीं. तो हम करेंगे, आप देखेंगे सिर्फ.
सर बोतल लेके आना था.
आना था ना, आपको बोला गया था.
नहीं जानता था.
नहीं जानते थे? अच्छा, ठीक है. So this is a waste bottle. इसको हम यूज करने के बाद फेंक देते हैं. This is basically not getting. What is the problem with water bottles? These plastic bottles. What is the problem with plastic bottles? If you throw them out, what happens?
So they do not decompose. They stay like
They do not
they
decompose.
stay the same.
They are non-biodegradable.
They stay as it is. तो इसको हम यूज कर सकते हैं. तो इसको प्लांट लगाने के लिए कैसे यूज करेंगे? कोई सजेशन?
We can cut it.
We can cut it in half and then put in the soil.
हाँ, लेकिन छेद यहाँ छोटा है, कैसे इसमें कैसे?
No, we can cut it in half, cut the bottle.
We can tilt the bottle. We can put the bottle flat on the table.
Yes.
No, sir. In a horizontal way.
This way?
Yes.
Yes.
And then we can make a cut on top.
So you can also cut it from here, depending on the plant. If you want to plant a deep-rooted plant, which needs in a long root space, you can cut it here. And you can also cut it horizontal. You can also cut it half here. So you have to plant many small plants. You can also cut it half. So I will show you one thing. You can see my screen, my table, right? So what I'm doing is, okay. So I will cut it like this. Can you see? We will take that portion out. So, I have taken certain portion out. So you can feel the soil here and plant trees. Not trees, plants, smaller plants. So another important thing is, don't forget to make small holes below. Very small holes, so that the extra water is actually flow out of this. I have got some rope as well. What you can do is, you can actually tie a rope here. Hope you can see me well. And other side can be here. Then what happens? Why I am doing like this? Any guess?
For hanging the
So we can use it as a hanging.
Yes. So actually, you can make a hanging garden. You can see, you can actually make a hanging garden. You can hang it from your balcony, from your door. So there is one way of doing it, and of course there are things like this, good, very good things you can buy. And I will also show you another kinds of pot, but little later. So the second.
I have made this type of pot.
Yes, sorry.
I have made this with these plastic bottles. Can I show?
Very good. Very good. So how many of you are actually having indoor plants? Can you raise your hand? So I will count. How many of you are having indoor plants? Any hand?
What? Can you repeat?
One hand.
Sir, can you repeat what you said?
Any one of you are having any indoor plant in your house, in your home? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Avantika, tell me which of the plants you are having? Avantika.
Just
बोलो,
snake
क्या
plant.
plant है आपके पास?
The snake plant, aloe vera,
अच्छा.
and money plant.
And anyone else? Kushi. What are the plants you have?
Sir, I have snake plant, money plant, jade plant.
Okay. And who else? Keshav?
Sir, money plant.
Money plant only. Why
Sir,
only money
I
plant?
forgot the name. No,
So
sir.
does your money plant give you money?
Sir, I have planted many more plants, but I forgot the name.
What are those names?
Don't know, sir. Forgot. My mother takes them and planted. I
বাংলায়
don't
বলো,
know.
বাংলায় জানো নামগুলো?
No, বাংলায়ও জানি না।
বাংলায়ও জানো না? তো তা ঠিক আছে। Any plant gives you oxygen. Any plant is nice. All the plants are nice. All the plants give you oxygen. All the plants give pleasure to your eyes. Huh? Not an issue. ठीक है। तो अभी हमको डिस्कस करना है about soil. So we are discussing about pots. I will show you some more examples. And okay, during this,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding the pot that you made just now. Sir, is that pot
Is that
or
all?
is the pot that you made just now, the hanging one, is it only useful for small plants like baby tears or something like that?
Yes, unfortunately, also for cactus because can you tell me why?
Because it doesn't have much of root
Much more
space.
root space. So you can only have plants which have little, only
Fibrous roots.
very little, very small.
Fibrous roots.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So what you need is, so preferably if you have, you can use glove to walk in the garden so that you don't get germs and other things getting into your food. Okay. So I'm wearing gloves just for being cautious. Other option is if you don't have gloves, don't worry, use your hands, but wash it well. And make sure that you don't have long nails. So things might be getting loose. So why does plant need soil?
For obtaining minerals, for obtaining minerals and water.
For oxygen. There are oxygen in the soil definitely, but that's not the major source of oxygen for plant. So basically what I'm doing now, the soil has to be very nicely what?
Ground into a powder.
Yes, so that the plant doesn't feel any, not the plant, the root doesn't feel any obstruction while getting in. So soil is a source of nutrients. So जैसे हमको nutrient चाहिए, हमको क्या क्या चाहिए खाने में? What are the nutrients we need?
Carbohydrates, protein,
Minerals and all this, zinc, iron, many different things. So plant also needs all those things. So that is source for such things for plant is only soil. And
Soil, water, sunlight also, sir.
yes, important thing for indoor plant is, as you are doing it only in small pots, so the problem is the nutrient is very limited. The option of nutrient is very limited. So it gradually, eaten up by the plant, and you need to always fill with nutrients. So that's why, particularly in urban space or garden in a pot, you have to mix good amount of nutrition. So this is called vermicompost. So, do you know what farming is? Farming? I think you have read this already. Kecho, earthworm. So, this is basically sheet of earthworms. And they are very nutritious, very good for plants. And usually what we do, we take equal amount of soil and equal amount of vermicompost or any kind of compost. So compost is full of nutrient and we mix it well. We mix it very well. Nahi to sirf if you give soil, it's not good enough. It's not good enough for a plant. They need nutrient. They need to eat good food. है ना? जैसे हमको खाना चाहिए, प्लांट को भी अच्छे से खाना चाहिए. कोई सवाल है तो पूछते जाओ बीच में, जब तक आई एम वर्किंग.
So what is that black soil?
पर सिर्फ हम ही कर रहे हैं और आप देख रहे हैं. हाँ बोलो, क्या सवाल है?
So about that black soil.
Black soil. So this is the vermicompost. This is basically the sheet of earthworms, dung of earthworms. So this is a very good. You can also buy it, and there are also other options. I will show you right now.
So can we use in the place of black soil that cow cake?
You can also do. You can also use cow dung cake. Yes, but the problem is, if you have cow dung, that's best. Otherwise, when the cow dung is dry, I mean the nitrogen, which is very important component for plant to eat, is not there anymore. So it is so volatile that it evaporates. Nitrogen is not there anymore. So that is one option of having cow dung or vermicompost, and there are also other simpler option, and I will show you right now. Because our soil is ready, more or less. It's best if you can break. Okay. So I have bought 2 packets of food from my home. I'll show you what kind of food are this. Jalebi and samosa and all this. So what is this?
Vegetable peels.
Yes. Vegetable peel. And what is this?
Dry leaf.
No, this is also vegetable peel. So as I was, I got information that we will do this workshop. So I am storing vegetable peels. I am anyway storing vegetable peels in my house for my garden, but I am keeping it for you just to show that so this is actually 4 or 5 days old. It's already rotten and this is smelling as I was closing it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have smelled that much. And this is a new one. This is only 2 days. So in 5 days, if you can keep, things can rot, and that can be used as very good quality of food for plant, compost for plant. Okay. So why vegetable peels have food for plants? From where the food is coming? Tell me now. Why this has nutrient?
Sir, because the vegetables have nutrients.
Vegetables have. So nutrients are there actually in the soil. So all we eat, everything that we eat, all the nutrients is actually there in the soil. There is no nutrient that we get which is not there in the soil. So everything we get is actually from the soil. And who digs it out from the soil? Plant. So plant digs that nutrient out from the soil and store it in the leaves, the fruit, or other parts of the plant. Like we get it from the plant, so maybe a goat is eating that and we are eating the goat. Or chicken is eating grass and other things, and they are laying egg and we are having the egg. So actually the source of all our nutrient is soil, ultimate source. So in the vegetable peel which we are not eating, it is also having nutrient. So what we are trying to do is trying to give that nutrient back to the plant so that they can use it as food. Plant is very important. If you recall your studies. So plant is actually the only machine on earth. Remember, I am repeating, only machine on earth which can store solar energy into food. There is nothing else. We have sent human being to moon, and we have creating nuclear bomb and many other things. We are very much advanced in science, but there is no possibility of making such a machine which can store sun's light, sun's energy into food. Only plant can do this. That's why plant is very important. And any plant actually, so any plant can do it. And plant not only stores sun's energy, but it also brings up the nutrient from the soil. Okay, so soil. So soil is prepared, and what you can do is you can actually put soil here in the pot that you have prepared and plant trees, or the pot that you have here, or let me fill up the bigger one because I will show you something. So I will use the bigger pot because I will use it. So what I will do now is a little bit cheating. You don't do that, huh? So you can do that actually, but these newspaper prints are not good for plants because it has, the ink, which is not good. So I'm just filling that because I don't have much soil. So ideally, all the tubs have hole. So either it has hole, or if you are creating your own pot, you have to create a hole so that the extra water is coming out. So it is best if you can give a few stone chips or something like that on the bed first, so that the along with the water the soil is also not drained out. So you can now put in soil here It also needs the rotten vegetable peels that I had. And something more. So can you show the top of it? So your this is ready, and you can plant your plant here like that. But another important thing is we have discussed about soil, we have discussed about pots, we discussed soil, but another important thing is water. So I told you already that water you shouldn't give plenty of water, but you have to give water which is only just to wet the soil. That's all. And in the indoor plant, what happens that sometimes it also happens that you are going out of the house and there is nobody is there to take care of the plant. Nobody is there to take care of the give water to the plant. So we can create certain interesting designs to water the plant. So let us try one of that. So I will show you one such interesting model which you can follow. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
As we're talking about water, I had a doubt regarding that. So generally, the water in which fruits are soaked are used to water the plants, but we soak the fruits just to get rid of the chemical on the outer layer. So is it okay for us to water the plants with that water?
I would not recommend.
Okay. Thank you.
But very important thing, thank you for reminding me. Very important thing is, see, in my house, we are not throwing out anything, any vegetable peel, or water which can be used. Everything goes to the plant. Like you're washing, say, chawal do rahe ho, bhaat tayar karne se pehle, so that can go. You are washing vegetables. You are, I don't know, even if you are washing hands, not with sabun, not with soap, but normal washing hands. All this water can be given to the plant. So water is very, very costly now. So remember that. And every possible thing, not only water, your vegetable peel, whatever possible, your water bottles, PET bottle, anything and everything should be recycled, because to make even a small pen, it needs energy. So actually, if you are using too many things, even if you are using, say, even 5 pens, so you are responsible for climate change. So nowadays I have seen people are, how many pens do you have? Just check. So earlier in my childhood, I used to have maximum 2. But now every one of you have at least 10, and you throw them out. You don't have a habit to change the refill. And so if you ask me that who is responsible for climate change, I will point out to you, and I will also point out to me. So if we are, consuming many things which is not required, if you are not recycling, if you are not reusing things, we are responsible for climate change. Remember that. Okay, so I was talking about designing one interesting idea about how can you water the plant if you are not there. So I will cut the bottle from here. One of here, one of here. And I will take this side and make a hole. Make a hole here. I made a hole here, you can see it. Then what do I do? I have cottons. I have dirty hands. Can you take some? So I have cottons. You can also take other things. So I'm sure that some of you are having your mother sitting with you, isn't it? So if you remember our childhood days, we used to have diya by creating this. No? What does it call?
Weak or sholte.
Sholte. So আমরা sholte মতো বানাবো. We are making a sholte sort of thing.
Anshuman, we have another 15 minutes. Just a gentle time reminder.
Minutes. Yes, we are almost at the end.
Great. Nehadi, आप थोड़ा सा पीछे आइए. We can't see Anshuman's face.
It's okay. I'll sit down. It's fine. So it's important to see the table.
Okay.
So क्या किया हमने? So sholte and but I'm not going to put fire. So what I'm going to do is in water here. And filling I'm cheating again, huh? Because I don't have that much amount of soil. Filling soil here. And after that, what should I do? After filling the soil? आप कोई बोलते नहीं हो कुछ, क्या बात है? Soil डालने के बाद क्या करेंगे? खा लेंगे? Should I eat it or not?
We will plant on it.
So we plant something here. We plant something here. So now this is the trick. That if I put it like this, what will happen? We don't need to plant. We don't need to give water here. So this water will, through this thing, the water will come here. So you don't need to put much. You don't need to take care of this anymore. Samjha?
So would you please explain it again?
Okay. So repeating once again. So I have cut the bottle half, and on one side I fill it up with water, and on the bottle इसमें आपने छेद किया and put a cotton there and close it. उल्टा करके उसमें मिट्टी दिया and we give and we plant the plant and keep it like this. So the water will gradually come to the cotton. You don't need to, water plant separately.
So water will be absorbed automatically by the soil, right, sir?
Water will be absorbed to the cotton and come to the soil. Samjha?
Yes,
And
sir.
last thing to tell you is any plant if you put it. So see, the plant drinks water from the root, and root is where? Inside.
In the soil.
And we give water here on the top. So the problem is most of the water that we give here evaporates. It doesn't reach. So evaporation rokna hai. So we call it mulching. So you can actually cover the soil with organic matters, any organic matter, so that the soil is covered. Soil is not open. So you can, the water does not evaporate. So water stays in the soil. ठीक है, इसको बोलते हैं mulching. So water is a very important component for indoor plants particularly. ठीक है, we have discussed about soil, we discussed about water, we discussed about different kinds of pots and other things. So who will summarize now? So I have done my part. So each one of you, so let us also hear from you. What did you learn today? Who will start? One thing that you learned today.
Sir, I learned today how much indoor gardening is healthy for our mental health, physical health, as well as it will keep us going, like keep us it will help us to be productive throughout the day.
Fine, thank you. One. And who will no? So your turn is over. Anyone else?
So we also learned about the factors which are important for indoor gardening, like where should we plant, what should we plant, what type of plant should be generally selected, plus the sunlight factor, water, soil, etc.
Perfect. Anyone else? And you can also ask questions. I mean, if you have any doubts or if you have.
We learned about how we can use plastic bottles as pots, and then it's completely sustainable, and like it doesn't harm the environment even a little bit. We're completely using sustainable products. So,
yes. What else?
Excuse me, sir, I had a question.
Yes.
So can we put warm water in plants?
No.
Like no.
Not at all. No warm water, no acidic water, like no nimbu pani. Plant doesn't need nimbu pani in summertime. You just give normal water. Nimbu pani भी नहीं चाहिए, उसको चाय भी नहीं चाहिए. So yeah, coffee भी नहीं चाहिए, cold drinks भी नहीं चाहिए. So just normal plain water. You can mostly use yellow water, like when you're washing your hands or washing your clothes. Yeah. Yes, in the summary or the question, there are many other things we learned. Or which also share which are the thing that you like most?
So the DIY water system that we learned today, that was the best part for me.
Okay. And what else? Bolo? Anything you learned or anything you want to ask or?
So I had a question. while pouring a plant especially in rainy season, I have seen that in the soil that is green layer is formed in the top of the soil.
I'm not getting your voice clearly. So can you come again, please?
So in the rainy season, in the top of the layer of the soil, the green layer is formed. What is does it means harm the soil or plant?
In the rainy season, what happens?
Green
layer. No, no,
Yes.
that's absolutely natural. So these are basically probably some kind of algae. Doesn't matter. That's fine. That will anyway decompose in the soil.
Sir, is it necessary for us to change the soil every couple of
No.
months?
Not necessary, but as I told you, the problem is this is a very small area for a plant to feed on. So you have to continuously add on nutrients. So maybe in every 2 months you have to add vermicompost, or you have to add certain things, certain food. Or the best thing is if you can, create, vegetable, keep vegetable peel, rot vegetable peels and use that as nutrient in the soil. But it's important to give regular nutrient to the soil. और कुछ बोलो?
Sir, we have learned how we will give water when we will not in our home.
Yes. Important. Anything else? All right. 15.
Anshuman, we'll move to the main session in about 5 minutes. If there are any questions, there's anything you want to.
Yes, so we are discussing the questions and summarizing the learning.
Great. Thank you so much.
Anytime you want us to go to the main room, we'll find.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yes, so you have 2-3 minutes, 2-3 questions to ask or 2-3 things to tell us. पच्चीस लोग हैं and we have heard only from 6 or 7. I want to hear new voices and see new faces. Well, now, I'm often a very bad teacher. Yes, Mili, I want to hear from you. Follow Mili, I want to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What do you want to share? In any language, Hindi, Bangla. I can't speak Urdu, but I'm sure I will be able to, understand it. Anything. কোনটা মনে আছে আজকে সবথেকে বেশি আজকে যেটা করলে সেটা নিয়ে
वैसे हिंदी लैंग्वेज कंफर्टेबल
बोलिए हिंदी में बोलिए कोई बात नहीं कौन सा अच्छा लगा आपको सबसे आज जो बात हुआ उसमें
सर सबसे अच्छा लगा कि जो हम लोग कंपोजिट वेस्ट से यूज करते हैं ऑयल पे सॉइल पे जो हम लोग प्लांटिंग करने के लिए उसमें
अच्छा ठीक है देवाशीष कैन वी हियर फ्रॉम यू व्हाट डिड यू लर्न टुडे देवाशीष दास Okay, the last question is to Mritsa Ghozdostida. Mritsa.
Yes, sir.
Yes, tell me about your experience today. And this is the last one, and we'll go to the main room now.
For my experience, I was running a little late, but when I joined, I immediately caught on to what was happening. And what my favorite part was how we're using plastic bottles and we're recycling them and we're using them to plant trees. So that was just my favorite part of the entire session.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you all for being with me for last 1.5 hours, and we'll go to the main room now. See you there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.